Hey Ian, you ready?
You bet I am. What are we talking about tonight? And talk about guns?
If it's not a 30 cal, I'm not in.
Jeez, mate, that's not very inclusive. Have you seen Jono?
Hey Jono, you ready?
Well, God knows where he is, mate. He's probably caught up in the neighbour's wire again. You ready to go? Let's do this.
Mate, I'm ready. Let's crank it up.
Righto then. Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Hunter's Campfire, where we're going to talk about all things hunting and the great outdoors. And we'll probably throw in a few tips along the way.
You want a tip? Say it once, say it 1,000 times. Goats love rocks.
Or a few things about deer. Mark, what do you reckon about deer?
As a deer hunter, I love hunting pigs.
Well, that's about as useful as I expected it to be. Oh, check it out. Here comes Jono. He's being chased by the neighbour's dog.
Okay guys, let's get this started. Welcome to the Hunter's Campfire. Pull up a chair, get comfortable. It's time for the Hunter's Campfire.
We're back.
We are.
We're back.
Someone's wearing a new cap.
Oh, you like it?
I do like it.
It's the first of our new range of
If you
merchandise.
If you can see it, that is one of our caps. So we will we'll continue to have the Frank, but we're actually got some non-blaze caps coming up.
More casual wear.
Yeah, casual wear. That's a good way to describe
More
it.
casual
That one
wear.
is the Flex Fit 2, which is a really nice kind of a lesser sized cap.
It's a very comfortable cap.
Yeah. And there's a trucker's cap as well, but not like one of those massive trucker's caps that really stick out big on the front. It's a medium style trucker's cap, which will have some badge work on it as well. So those things are happening.
A couple of different colours coming, which is pretty good. We're a little bit delayed getting them out, but I'm expecting by end of day tomorrow, I'm expecting to have the artwork ready to go up on the website so people can actually go and have a look at the merch that's been coming for a year. And if they want to, they can make some selections. So that's pretty cool. We've been speaking to them about lead times and, stock holdings and all that sort of stuff. And we're pretty much ready to go. Our particular vendor has bought a fancy new machine that's helping us do a bunch of cool things. And he's having that installed this week. And that will allow us to punch orders out pretty fast. When people ask for them, they can get out into the post pretty quickly, which is what everyone wants when they buy something. So, look out for that. It's going to be exciting.
And yes, and the e-commerce part of it all will be through the website. So, and the good thing about using the supplier we're using, they supply it straight to you. So, we shouldn't have anything like stock issues or anything like that. It should be available, which is a big part of what we wanted to set up in the first place. No one wanted to have 10,000 caps sitting in their garage.
No, sir.
That's part of how that's coming along. And I suppose a spin-off to that is the Hunt Fit thing. That's taken off. Yeah,
taken off. Let's come back to that. The spin-off to the merch is the fact that it will all go up on the website. And if you're familiar with our website and you go to it now, it's had a grease and oil change. Someone's gone and tinkered around with it, someone with a little bit more capability than we three hacks. And it's now, it just looks a bit sleeker. They've, done the things that we didn't know how to do and they've got it a little bit better. But what you will see coming up on the website, it's not quite done. We are updating things live, so a couple of things are a bit out of place still, but mostly it's good. But you'll see another menu item come up shortly, which will be Hunt Fit. So you'll be able to go in there and have a look at what that's all about. But in the shop section, you'll be able to go to the merch section, and the pre-blooded gear will be in there as well under the web shop. So we're still going to have a bunch of stuff under pre-blooded gear. Yeah, looks like Ibrahim's walking.
That's it. There is some pre-blooded gear, which is the Shockley sticks. That's the Gen 2s. They're going. I have some concern that it's too long for Australia Post, and if that is the case, I will hand deliver it. But it's going out.
It's going out. So out. Yeah, I've got quite a bit of pre-blooded gear to go up. There's a bit of stuff that's going to be worth having a look, so keep an eye on that page if you're interested. We'll post it on socials like we usually do anyway. But, so we'll have caps, we'll have hats, we'll have not just caps, but hats. We'll have
T-shirts.
4 different coloured shirts in 2 styles each. We'll have hoodies in 3 colours.
3 in 2 styles.
And 2 styles, 3 colours and 2 styles. We'll have waterproof sleeveless soft shells. We'll have sleeved waterproof soft shells. We will have...
That's it.
Something else.
Caps, T-shirts, hoodies, soft shells at the moment.
Yeah.
And our intention, so everything at the moment will be a version of the current logo, but we're going to get a bit creative with our logo as well as be creative with other things as well. So we want to actually have a good selection of casual wear. So we're moving that way, guys.
Should be cool. It's good fun. If you've got ideas, let us know. But you might just end up with a shirt that says Goats Love Rocks on it, just because. Anyway, see how we go with that. Check out the website. Let us know what you think. We're improving it all the time. It's starting to look pretty fancy, I reckon.
It is. I was just looking at it right now. It's a good photo of you with the Frank. That should be Frank.
To be frank.
That should be Frank. Maybe we should get Frank's head in there.
We'll get Frank's head in there. Don't worry about it.
I think that's a good idea.
So, yes, one of the pages will be Hunt Fit. You heard about Hunt Fit in the last recording, the last podcast. We bet a little bit on a bit unannounced and probably not expected. We just sort of threw it out there, and I was sort of thinking about sometime in the new year we'd get this going. The idea is going really well, but we threw it out in the last podcast. We've been overwhelmed with people that have been on the sidelines, sort of wondering what they're going to do themselves. So, to everyone that's reached out, thanks very much. I know you're going to enjoy it. It's a program that we're still putting a little bit together, and we're still going to launch it in January. But a couple of people are going to do an early start just because maybe they don't celebrate Christmas and they don't need to wait. So, there's people out there like that.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting how that's kind of went from nothing to something really quickly. It was completely unexpected in that sense. So that's really jumped off.
Yeah. So, and I was, so again, I've now been doing this for 17 weeks, something like that. Since we last spoke, dropped another 3 kilos. Since we last spoke, the other fella that was on it with me has hit a 20 kilo milestone, and 2 of the others have hit 10 kilo milestones. So they're doing really well, and it just works. So that's great. It just changes your life when you do this sort of stuff. So I'm pretty happy to be helping and guiding people through it. But the company that we're working with interviewed me this morning.
Oh, okay.
I got to get up really early and jump on a live Zoom meeting and get interviewed about the process that I've been going through, and just talk to a bunch of the new people that were coming through about what I've been through and the challenges and the good things and everything that's positive off the scales, because there's lots of other improvements as well. So they've sent me the video. I didn't make too much of a clown of myself, so I might put it on the website. We'll see how we go with that.
You're going to be the Anthony Robbins. You're going to be telling people to walk over hot coals and stuff.
No, it's too much potty mouth in me to be able to public speak like him.
Okay.
I end up dropping words I'm not supposed to drop.
Bleep, bleep, bleep,
I
bleep,
may
bleep.
have said accidentally in the wrong company that the supplements we take are so good, I'm not sure whether I should swallow them or rack them up and snort them.
Oh, yeah. That's great. So
healthy people don't enjoy those.
Yeah, so when QPS come over to visit, ask about the snorting stuff, I can say, you need to go to Toowoomba and talk to that guy up there. I got nothing to do with that stuff.
Right.
And
that just stuck in my mind because I saw a Instagram post of Michael Granger's that went up during the week. I saw it and it was pretty small detail, but when I focused in on it, I realized he posted a clip of our Northern Territory wrap up where he was talking about something. He said, and the hero of the trip, what did he say? The MVP of the trip was our friend Megamag. And he said, He said it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different. I've not seen so many white powders come out of the hunt camp before.
Oh,
I thought,
God.
yeah. So that was kind of in the back of my mind when I was talking to someone today about the crushing it and racking it. But no, I promise you, it's all healthy goodness.
Yeah.
I promise. Anyway, if you heard the first time and you were skeptical, you can remain skeptical. It's all good. If you do want to inquire, hit us up on the website. There's a comments section on the bottom right-hand corner of our website. Just drop me a note and I will ring you personally and have a conversation with you about it. And then you can decide what you want to do or drop us an email or do whatever. But yeah, you're not going to be sent off into the never. It is a personal with us program that we're doing. So you'll be with a bunch of guys that if you listen to the podcast, you're going to still be listening to us. How about that? Well, at least me. So come along. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and don't ask me because I don't know anything about it. And that's what I'm telling the police too when they turn up.
Just send my gear to Mark's place. He's warehousing. Yeah. So anyway, it's great. I love it. So thanks for the support, everybody. And I'm sure we'll hear from more of you sometime soon.
Yeah, and on that, we've got lots of little bits of chats going on at the moment, guys. So there's a whole lot of things that I want to talk about tonight, and maybe that's exactly what we're on about. And but I suppose before we get into that, how's hunt camp looking?
Full.
There you go. Yeah.
Well.
We need to get on to DPI and say make more space.
Holy jolly. Yeah. So there's the big news. We put it out a week ago. We put one post out on the socials. We are now at the limit. We can't take any more. So I'm sorry. If you wanted to come, reach out to me anyway if that was your intention. I will put a wait list up. At the moment, I don't have anyone on a wait list, and we always have a percentage that drop out because there are hopefuls that can't get away. They don't realise they've booked at school holidays. They can't do it. Some people decide that it's Easter and they should, whatever excuse they've got. We will lose a few people out of the group. So we can still put you on a wait list, but I don't want to disappoint anybody. In the way the booking process works, we can't be falling over ourselves all trying to get a booking, and fighting against each other. So we're going to have to cap it where it is right now. And I'll update you if that changes. Big crew, lots of new people have wanted to come. So even some of the guys from last year have not been able to get a spot in yet. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great thing, and the chat's gone off already. Last year's hunt camp chat still survives.
Yeah, well, what is it? It's the post. It's the post.
The post hunt camp sledging
group. They've created their own chat group, which I think is fantastic, guys. That a big part of what we wanted to do is build a community, and more importantly, especially with that. The post hunt camp sledging group, we don't have much to do with it. They run it, they're chatting amongst themselves, and so they're building those connections, which is exactly what we want to happen. So
yeah, and they're a stand up bunch of dudes. Like they were really nice fellas, and they all got along really well at camp, so they've all stayed connected. Normally I shut those groups down after the camp because the chat just goes on, and they all make friends with themselves and go and do whatever. But it's too cool a group to let it go. So we've built a second one for this year, and this year's participants will be on that one, and that one's fired up. Lots of stuff going on in that chat at the moment. Lots of advice, lots of technical advice going on about that one, and specifically around these magic panels.
Oh, that just looked like a...
Right.
What's that?
I'm holding up a white square. This
is that's it?
Starlink Roam.
Ah, the Starlink things.
This is the Starlink. So if you haven't seen the little Starlink Mini, the boys started going off about it on the chat. Starlink's released this new device, which is about the size of a dinner plate. Pretty thin, pretty light.
Yeah.
The original Starlink versions came with two parts. They had the panel that pointed to the sky, and they had a modem that sit off the side. You had to plug the modem into the panel, and plug the modem also into the power. They've inbuilt that all into this one unit now, so you can imagine that just sliding in the back of the meat hauler pack on that little shelf mark. And now when we shoot Yon Buffalo and we're celebrating, Starlink can come out and we can share it with the world.
I'm not sure if I'm quite comfortable with it.
In real time.
Knowing where I am.
Yeah, I didn't say where you were, just, that we were doing
Well,
stuff.
you will know because you'll know where that bloody thing is.
You said you were going to get milk, and you went to shoot a buffalo.
Oh, that, yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so, and just talking about these devices, if you're interested in these, and I'm not the expert, in fact, the group of fellas we're talking about on the chat, they have all the knowledge about this thing. But out of the box, this little panel that you can't see because you're listening to me, but imagine a little dinner plate size iPad. It's an iPad size piece of plastic.
It's a iPad Pro.
Yeah, it's the iPad Pro, same size as that. About the same weight, maybe a fraction heavier. It's got one cable you plug into the back of it and you plug it into power. That's it. That's it. All the smarts are in it. As soon as it fires up, it emits a Wi-Fi signal and you can connect to it and you've got internet, just like that. And you can connect it to power and you can connect it to a USB battery bank.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
That's something.
That's something. Instant comms in a box, just like that. And it gave me, I think twice the speed of my home internet connection. So I'm pretty impressed with it. It's a good addition to the arsenal of gear that we carry around.
We're going to need a wheelbarrow, but
we're going to need a wheelbarrow. That's right.
Or maybe one of those robot dogs.
Don't need to carry it. Yeah. But if you're going to a base camp and you've got a base camp and you want comms, another topic we'll talk about shortly is a trip to New Zealand. But if you're going to chopper up into the Alps and you've got a base camp up there, it takes stuff all room just to wedge that in somewhere and take it with you and have instant comms. And let me come back to that subject because I want to talk a little bit more about New Zealand planning that we've got going on and just some of the ways that we go about it.
Sure.
So, anyway, that's the chat group. Sorry about Hunt Camp. It's chockers, which is brilliant. But contact us anyway for the wait list and we'll try and do something else later in the year for those that we left behind, sadly.
Well, I mean, what people have got to realise, there isn't any guarantee that I will be going, or you will be going, as in get a space. That's it.
Absolute guarantee I'm going, but I may not be.
Right, that's right. I'm going, but I may very well not be taking a rifle because I might not get a space. So, so that's a reality. It is a true lottery, guys. No matter what people think, there isn't any way to jump the queue. It's a competitive marketplace. It is.
Yeah. All right. What else?
I've got a couple of things. So last week I spoke about the rifle review for the Sauer 505, and you actually asked me about the column I wrote about camping. Both have actually got some really nice feedback, which is always great. Probably the one that got the most feedback was about the Sauer 505, and what I spoke a little bit about in the article about why I like that rifle so much, or more importantly, why there was I had a connection to it. And it was because so people asked me about that, and I said, well, it all started with a rifle called the Sauer 202 or the 202 Elegant, which I thought was about the best looking hunting rifle I'd ever seen at the time. And what it was it was in left hand, which is what, at the time when I was looking at left hand rifles, it was a startling pretty rifle, timber and metalwork, and that's where it all started for me. So, because people are saying, well, why are you so enamored with it? And I said, well, it's probably all came back from the 202, and though I don't think you can still get the twos, maybe you can. So they were an earlier model, and they had a whole range in that. There was an African, I think they might have called it a tropical for the 375 and things like that. But there was the one that I really had my eye on was the Elegance. And I was actually going to fly to Victoria to have a look at one, but I ended up going a different rifle. And if you're interested in these things, I know some people are, there is a rifle called the Sauer 303. And that is a semi-automatic rifle. Can't get it here, of course. I can, but I'm in unrestricted life. And I always think about that when people talk about semi-autos, because nowadays when people talk about semi-autos, they nearly always think about an AR platform. If you're interested, have a look at the Sauer 303 and you will see that you can make a semi-automatic pig rifle that does not look like a AR platform. It looks like a really stunning hunting rifle that just happens to have a semi-automatic action in it. So that generated a fair bit of commentary, which I'm always glad when the reviews generate some commentary. The other bit of commentary that's come around for me, someone asked me about the books that I continue to quote.
Mm.
And they asked what kind of books, they asked me a little bit about what I'm reading at the moment. And I said, well, I thought about it, and these aren't what I'm reading, or not all of these things I'm reading right at the moment, but they're worth a read. And so Aldo Lupo's Sand County Almanac. If you're interested in hunting, you really should read that book. Okay, that this guy, I hate to say it so flippantly, but he is kind of like the origin of what we understand about conservation and the idea of hunting as a mechanism of conservation. Read the Sand County Almanac. Once you read it, you realise that he's quoted all over the place. The ADA quote him, for instance. One of their quotes that they tend to print is actually a Leopold quote. So that's well worth a read. Something that I am reading again, and as you can see, I'm taking notes.
Huh. And if you can't see, Mark's taking notes. There must be 500 tabs in that book.
This is Eric Roll's book, and this is about the pilliga. Yeah,
A Million
Wild Acres. It's about the pilliga. So if you've hunted the pilliga or you're thinking about hunting the pilliga, this isn't a hunting guide to the pilliga, by the way. This is about the place and about the history of the place, and from settlers through Dewey Governor, who the chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, Australia's first mass murderer who hid out in the pilliga. The Pilliga Princess, all of those things and all those weird things that you see when you're in the Pilliga. It's a story about that area, so it's well worth a read. There's also some of the historical stuff about how it looked and the way what we see now of the Pilliga, how it didn't look like that when it was first. White settlers went through, white explorers went through there. It looked very different. So that's a really interesting book, and I always go back to that because there's parts of when I'm down there, I actually like to look for things to see if I can find them references in it. So that's really good one. One that I'm often reading and I'm often quoting is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. He's the Roman emperor that was in Gladiator. He's the old boy that got murdered in the big idiot.
Yep.
Okay. He wrote his Meditations. It's just, I suppose you might call it quotes, but they're not exactly quotes. They're just, they're kind of thoughts about various things and the idea of Stoicism, which is a very popular thought, I suppose very popular at the moment. He's regarded as one of the founding fathers of Stoicism. So I'm always quoting him. What else is there? Okay. If you want to read
good book,
hunting books that actually aren't just, I went out and shot something, get on to Peter Ryan. We've had him on the podcast. I talk to him occasionally. He's over in New Zealand. I'm not sure which one this is in the order. Okay. He's got 3 books out, and I know he's got his 4th book it's in the works. So but it's a great place to start. You don't have to read them in order. They're not necessarily in order. But what I really like about Peter's books is, as I said, he writes hunting prose. So it's not just like reading like a review or something like that. It's very much prose. This is the one where he speaks about hunting across the Southern Hemisphere. And when we spoke to him on the podcast, he spoke about that. So wing shooting in Argentina, so hunting through South America and hunting in New Zealand and in Southern Africa. So that's what as I said, he's got 3 books. I think any of them is a great place to start. I just happened to grab Wild Self because it's right here and it's the first one I grabbed through. Give his books
Wild Self and Hunting Life on my book.
Yeah, so I've got Hunting Life, Hunting New Zealand, and Wild Self. And I believe he's got a 4th book in the works.
Yeah, Hunting New Zealand is currently on my bedhead, half finished.
Yeah.
It's a good book. Yeah. If I were to add to your book list, only on hunting books, not on the more philosophical ones. Well, I've got one that's more philosophical that I really enjoy. I say I really enjoy it. It's taken me a year to read it, and it's not finished because it's very thought-provoking, and it's a book called Sapiens.
Oh, yes. I was listening to him on a podcast very recently, and his name escapes me.
Yeah, his name escapes me as well. But it's a great read. I mean, if you're an avid reader of that sort of stuff, you won't find it too heavy. But I find I need to let the chapter sit with me. I need to read it and understand it and then ponder it, because it's that kind of book. But I've really enjoyed reading it. So that's on that side of life. But to add to the hunting books, 2 books that I had here close at hand that I really enjoyed: Pack and Rifle by Philip Holden.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun, fast-moving story, a bunch of stories about the hazardous life of a hunter in the forestry service in New Zealand. So that's a cracking read. It's such a good one. So yeah, go and find that one. That one's worth a look for sure. And one that I really enjoyed, and I like this one because some of my family lived in the same town as this man, and his business was a small business that had a shop in this little town.
Okay.
And he's a character, an absolute larrikin character, and that is Davy Hughes from Swazi.
Yeah.
And his book, Untamed, is just so funny. The stuff that they got up to. But, yep, he talks about all the stuff he's done across the world, from grizzlies to, running from ivory poachers to seeing Siberian tigers and going to Mongolia and hunting and all sorts of stuff that he's done. But it's a fun book too. So if you're into reading, there too that I recommend. There's others, but, we'll leave it at that for now. We'll bring more up later. I've got about 50 hunting books here on my shelves right here. Those are 2 that I love. Next 2, probably my favourite author. I don't have him handy here. Barry Crump, more of a yarn than a book written by Peter Ryan and Philip Holden. Very funny, but again, good hunting yarns, easy reads.
And the final book for me that I'd recommend is The Haguka, which is the Book of the Samurai. It's philosophical. It's very difficult to, again, it's kind of like it's kind of like in the style of meditation. So it's short quotes, or not quotes, but observations. One of my favorite is, and it shows the humor of it. It talks about your gear, and it says that, a samurai should take good care of his gear, but not fuss over it. So make sure your armor is clean, your swords and stuff like that. But you should pay particular attention to your helmet, and the reason why is it rides on your head into the camp of your enemies. So when they chop your head off and they carry your head back to their camp, they see your helmet and they go, "Oh, this guy was a really, really wealthy man. Look at the state of his helmet." I love that. Make sure you make a lasting impression, even if you've been beheaded. But it's great. So that's it. So there's 5 books from me of all sorts of things, and they have a lot of influence on my writing, I suppose. I come back to them again and again.
Interesting.
So for those who are interested, but where it's coming from, that's a big part of where a lot of my writing comes from.
Very good. To round out Sapiens, Google tells me it is written by Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes, right. I was actually listening to. So he does a lot of podcasting and public speaking and things like that.
I wasn't aware.
Yes.
I'll have to go seek him out.
Yes. The one that's popping up is the Intellect Corner podcast.
Huh.
There you go. Podcast to brief Sapiens, the brief history of mankind.
Does he speak well? Is he?
Yeah. He's an intellect. So he's very thoughtful but I mean, like, he's also I suppose well versed in speaking, so he's not dry, and it's easy to listen to it, I suppose, the easiest way of saying it. So I'm just going through the list. Books was a big one. A couple of things that have popped up in the on email is that there is a limited edition silver pigeon out from Beretta at the moment. Jono shoots a silver pigeon.
I used to shoot a silver pigeon.
Used to shoot a pigeon. Hendo shoots a silver pigeon. Is that right?
Yes. He shoots the model up.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, there's a new silver pigeon out, which is always very cool if you're into shotguns, which I am. Oh, I like to shoot pigs with them, but hey. That's me. Which makes people at Beretta tend to cringe a little bit when I talk about that. But...
Yeah, that's okay.
And the other kind of interesting thing is what's happening with Lithgow Arms. What seems to be happening is we don't know what's happening, other than the fact that Lithgow has said that they're ceasing production of their commercial range of firearms. But we don't know if it's at the moment. We don't know if that's the end of the production line. We don't know. So it's a little bit difficult to get any clarity. There's lots of different, I suppose, stories going around at the moment, but we don't know as such. Certainly, if they stop manufacturing those rifles, that's going to be a real blow, because they are the locally made, well, they're not the only locally made, but they are probably the most prolific locally made firearm we have in Australia. We don't know if they've stopped production, as I said, altogether, or they've just said there's too many in stock, and so they're ease back on production. I suppose that will become clearer as things go on, but that's a bit of a blow, that one. No matter what, no matter the reason, the fact that they've slowed down or stopped production is not a good thing. Let's hope it kicks back on again.
Yeah,
so, what was it?
That's a real pity.
It is. It's a real. You just don't want to hear that happening. No matter what they're going, you don't want to hear that they're stopping production. It's only a
new relationship, that one, isn't it? One bought the other.
So I believe, the French company that own Lithgow, they're pretty heavily involved with Australian defence industries across a whole lot of areas. So yeah, I don't know that much about. I drove past the factory a few years ago. I don't know much about the factory itself and how many people are employed there or what their output was. But yeah, their parent company is a very large company, so I don't think it's a cost of production question. It's something different that we don't quite know about.
What a shame.
It is. Very much. I mean, you've got the Wedgetail, and there's a few other the Southern Cross rifle, but they're kind of, I suppose, small batch. Lithgow was the larger manufacturer that we had there, which really throws the question to manufacturing more generally. But that's a bigger question. Naya are involved in a lot of manufacturing components wise. They've got their side of things that they're doing, which is, you're seeing some areas increase, but you don't want to see anywhere go backwards. So let's hope that one gets back online, or it's whatever the problem is, it's resolved as quickly as possible.
Well, watch the space, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the other sad item that was in the news is, and I don't have the facts with me, but I saw the post, like everybody else would have seen them come up, about the proposed crackdowns on firearms owners over in WA. We all know that they're getting a raw deal at the moment, but they're talking about some pretty significant changes for gun owners over there, specifically talking about making everyone, well, not everyone, you've got to fit into a certain category, but the average hunter in Queensland would be forced to upgrade safes to a minimum of 10 mil steel thickness, in some cases have CCTV and alarms fitted. It just becomes a very costly upgrade based on what they seem to think is just a decision made without any need. We're going to do it, so we're going to do it. And
it's pretty hard not to jump to the conclusion that it's basically, if you can't get rid of something, you make it so hard that people, self-select. That's exactly what the process is. If you don't want to be on record banning something, so you just make it as hard as possible to own, so people just go, I just can't be bothered. 10 mils, I don't know. I don't even know where you'd get a 10 mil safe.
Well, it opens a
market. That's massive.
To do it. Yeah, 10 mil. I think
that's massive.
Most more of the more heavy duty pistol saves are 6 mil. I don't know if someone with some welding skills is going to get some 5 mil plate and just cruise around and just weld more on the outside of these safes. I don't know what these laws are going to be like, but yeah, it was pretty full on what I was reading this morning.
10 mil. That's a ridiculously thick. So I doubt if. Well, I wouldn't know who would have an armory that has 10 mil.
Yeah, 10 mil. That's right. That's huge.
I'm sure the police armory in the police stations wouldn't be 10 mil.
Well, they'll have to be.
That'd be a thing to. I know in England some of the storage. I had a friend particularly. The storage requirements they put on him, but they over there kind of do an assessment each time, and they made his storage requirements were quite onerous. And so basically, he had in his garage he had to build a cage, so the guns are in a cage.
Yeah.
But then he had to build a cage inside the garage. So he's got a garage door, and then he's got this sitting behind the garage door. He's got this basically prison door that sits behind the garage door. So his garage door has got a normal roller door, then it's got this super secure door, and there's a super secure door on the entry into the garage, and then within that there's another cage that's got the stuff in the cage, which is in a safe in the cage. And you think, yeah. So and again, he's just said, well, that's the price I have to pay to keep up what I want to do. But you can see that each time they do this, one or two people just go, that's it, I can't.
Yeah. The article talked about grandfathering some of the old laws if you owned less than 5 guns.
Yeah.
But it only applied to you if it only applied to the guns you owned now.
That's right.
And if you bought another gun, placed a gun, or increased your gun holdings, you then had to follow the new laws. The new gun that you bought had to follow the new laws. So they were letting some people off the hook. That's what I was saying. The average punter, like you and I, and most of the people we know, I don't know too many people that just have one.
No, well, that's an interesting.
By the time you add a competition shotgun and a 410 and a 22 and a couple of hunting rifles, all of a sudden you're at the number.
Well, that's the there's a wonderful thing called unintended consequences. The unintended consequences of the National Firearms Agreement and the laws post 96 is that club membership went through the roof. Just you had to join a club. So all of a sudden you had to join. So club membership went through the roof, and also clubs themselves greatly multiplied. The second thing is, in a way, the people who are interested in firearms now are interested in firearms.
Yeah.
And so there's more registered firearms now than there was in 96. They're just in a smaller group, but interestingly enough, that group is growing. It's a growing group. But the people involved are enthusiasts. That's an unintended consequence. Yeah, it's not just, I've just got one because it's granddad's or something like that. No, if you've got it, you've gone to the effort. You go to the effort of owning it. And also what that generally means is that most people actually buy better because they're enthusiasts. So you buy better stuff. So they didn't see that coming.
Interchangeable barrels, maybe.
Yeah, interchangeable barrels and all those kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's enough of the sad stuff. Far out. They come at you hard, don't they? I feel sorry for those fellas over there. And
there's no win on that one. They're just making your life difficult for you for no reason other than for politics. There's no linkage between any of this and crime or anything like that. It's purely a political move. It's just a group that they think they're happy to push around, and not too many people are going to make any noise about it if they get pushed around. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. What else we got?
That's going to depress me for the moment. I have to think about something. We've got a new video coming out, which is a gear video. I did a little post about two blokes sitting under a tree. Whilst it might sound a bit odd, but whilst sitting over a recently shot buffalo, and occasionally getting a whiff of that said shot buffalo, Ian and I recorded a gear video, which will be out in the next couple of days, about territory. So we go through the whole list of things. We literally sat down there and said, well, what boots you're wearing, what socks you're wearing, what pants you're wearing, what rifle you're carrying and things like that. So it's quite a comprehensive video. It was originally around a 30-minute discussion. I've chopped it down to about 17 or 18 minutes, but it's still us sitting under a tree. That's still part of it.
I noticed it was more of, I think it's more of it was a conversation. Mark was talking about most of the gear, and
you were asking me the questions.
Well, I asked you a few questions. I didn't think I had a microphone on me at the time, so but I mean, it's good. It comes out well, and it gives a bit of information about the stuff that we use in the territory and what works and what doesn't, and the approaches we're taking. Yeah, it was cool. It was good to see.
Yep. So that's coming out, and we will be returning to the territory in 2025. We've already booked the dates.
Yes, we have. I can't wait to do that. Man,
and I've already told the family that I'm going again. So that was okay.
Same.
So that's already happened. So.
Yes, yeah, I've told them that. I've also told them about the dates for the rut and the raw, and unfortunately, the school holidays for my son start the day of the week that I intend to be hunting red deer with Lawson, and they go through until I get home from hunt camp.
Yes, that's exactly.
My wife is
So
with all of the fact that life's going to be a bit more difficult.
Now, okay, that tells me when you're going to be up there at Lawson.
First week of April.
Oh, so you're going to be up there. So you're going to be up there from the 7th.
I'm going to be up there for probably 2 days, somewhere in the first week, that I'll decide based on the weather and the conditions of the week.
So I will be in the Brisbane Valley of the week of the 31st of March, Tuesday being the 1st of April. So I'm going to be there that week because that's the week before school holidays. School holidays technically start on Monday the 7th here in Queensland. So I'm going to be up there before school holidays. Then I'll have a week of school holidays, and then I will probably go to hunt camp.
Flag. So
from the 14th for a few days. And there's every chance that I won't be taking a rifle. I'll be taking a camera.
Yeah. Yep. But that's all right. Good to
every chance of that. Yep. Every chance of that. Though I am down, I have booked my time in Nundle and Tuggelow from the 5th to the 8th of January to 2025. So weather permitting, fire permitting, cyclone permitting, rain event permitting, whatever else permitting, I'm going to be in Nundle in the basically the first full week of January 2025 for a few days.
Very good. If you're in the neighbourhood, stop it and say hi to Mark.
Yes, I will be. We will probably, it'll be a small crew. There'll be a black camper trailer, and we will probably park off the road just past
Murder Dog,
just past the Wi-Fi tree. So you come around the corner from the Wi-Fi tree, a bit further down there's the track that takes you up to the highest point in Nundle. You come down, there's the intersection that goes off on private land, and then just down from there you can pull off to this, just on this, still on the slope. There's a campground off to the left, which stays pretty dry, and it's pretty hard to get bogged up there. So that's why we choose it. And there's a bit of a tree screen from the road as well. So it's a good little campsite. And even around it, there's lots of deer activity, and it's one of those ones that drop off quite steep, go down to a couple of flat areas. And that's where I saw truckloads of deer activity down there. So it'd be interesting to see what's around down there.
Yeah.
So
Jono and I'll be there the week between Christmas and New Year. So probably 17th to the 30th, 31st maybe. So we'll be there if you're keen to pop down. If you're doing some pre-scouting, if you're planning on hunting that area, then come and say hi. I can't tell you where we're going to stay because I have no idea. So, but
I have got Nundle and Tuggelow, but I think I'm going to stay up that part, so because it gets us easier access in the Tuggelow. So that's where we're going to start there. So if you're down that way, come and say hello. Last time we were down that way, in fact, Haroon came in and said hello and brought a very, very tasty curry, which was very nice of him.
Yeah. Well, talking about hunt planning, I alluded to New Zealand. So
Yes.
Been trying to get back to New Zealand for a hunt for a while. I keep getting sidetracked by the territory and other things, so I'm starting to put it on the list. And I just wanted to talk about the way that we're looking at planning that. So if there are people that are trying to plan a trip over that way, the way that I look at it is a little bit less normal, unorthodox.
Less normal.
I'm not the wordsmith of the group. And I say that I've been talking to various people over the last little while about planning it. And, you know, when you go on an overseas trip, you want to be reasonably planned. You've got to kind of know what you're doing and where you're going and all that sort of stuff. But I find that if you go and hunt New Zealand as a self-guided, you need to be really, really flexible. Well, you should be, I should say. You don't have to be, but you should be really flexible about it. And even to the point where you don't even really know where you're going to end up. And it challenges a lot of people. Modern technology now allows this to happen, and I think it's a really great way to book a successful hunt. And that is assuming that you're going to use a machine, a helicopter. You're going to hire a machine and get up onto the tussock tops or something like that. You choose the time of year that you want to go. You know, I wouldn't suggest you go in midwinter. You know, the rut raw period's good. Early spring's good. A lot of people talk about chasing summer strippers when, you know, antlers are stripping off, things like that.
Oh, okay. That's summer strippers. Okay, what are we doing about?
Yeah.
Right.
But I've been talking to a couple of people, just, you know, they're interested in going over to New Zealand, and there's areas where you can, you know, you want to pick your animal of choice that you're chasing. You know, a lot of people think, if I've got to go to New Zealand, I want to shoot a big red, you know, big Otago stag, and I want to shoot a tar, and I want to shoot a chamois. Well, there are places that you can go down in, you know, the south of the West Coast and, you know, in the Otago area that you can fly into and shoot all three of those animals. It's absolutely doable. But the weather is very unpredictable. And unfortunately for hunters that are moving across from Australia or going across from Australia, you've got to be planning those trips some months out. So you've got your flight, it's got to be booked pretty much, unless you really want to be stung for your flight costs. You're looking for a deal, you book your flight for the time of year that you want to go over there, you start doing your rifle permits, you get all that sort of stuff done. So you're committed to the date. But the unfortunate reality of hunting over there is that weather is crazy, and you may well just end up having a rigid plan to fly to Queenstown, hunt this exact spot. And if you plan it that way, suggestion is that, you know, you've got a high percentage chance of getting rained in, clagged in, fogged in, everything else in, and not have the best experience. You may luck it. You may get a really good day, a really good week, but the weather changes there quite a lot. So I always think, and certainly now that I'm planning this with tools like the Zolio and tools like Starlink in mind, you have the ability to do a hell of a lot of e-scouting on ground. You don't have to be familiar with the spot you're going to from an e-scouting perspective weeks in advance. Yeah, it's good to know where you think you want to go. But my suggestion is that you almost have two options. You know, you can land in New Zealand as your main option, landing in Queenstown, travelling to where it is that you're going to jump on the helicopter, you know, an hour or two drive. My suggestion at that point is that you ask the helicopter company where to go.
Okay.
They're very, very good operators.
Well, they want you to come back, don't they?
They want you to come back. That's what they do for a living. They know, because they service the area, they know where other hunters are, where other hunters have been, what's been shot out, what's not been shot out, where Waro hunters are the helicopter shooters for the government. When they go into places, they just know what's going on. So if you pre-plan your hunt, I noticed last time that I went, I was trying to hit them up for a spot, and they were very reluctant to give me a spot until I got there.
Yeah.
Because it's easy enough for you to take a spot and then go and hike into it. So you're taking one of their cherished little spots. So they like it when you show up there with a plan to go with them on a certain day, but let them help you make the right decision on a place that they see lots of numbers. They fly over them all the time. So I highly recommend, if you're not OCD and you don't need to plan everything down to the last little detail, be flexible to the point where you have a conversation with a second chopper company. And if you're specifically talking about the New Zealand South Island, the high country above Hanmer Springs in Canterbury, which is the next area north of Otago, it's still got good quality reds and chamois, but you're less likely, or if you're probably unlikely to see tar. So if tar's less of your quarry, if you're trying to chase a big red stag, Canterbury have some good stags as well. Otago are known for the big Otago, like the big thumpers. So it's kind of the holy grail of places that you want to go, but the weather sucks. So if you land, like I did on a trip a few years back, the entire country was under one of the most horrific storms that it had ever seen. But there was this little pocket that the storm had finished with that we were able to fly into in a chopper, but we had to change our plan on the spot. And if you go with that in mind, I think you'll end up getting a much better hunt out of it. And of course, with our little iPad-sized Starlink, you can land on the top of a mountain. Imagine the adventure you're going to have, not even knowing where you're going to end up the day that you land in the country. You just go, the sort of the mercy of the chopper company to take you in there. You can pull out that Starlink, your laptop, your iPad, whatever, and spend the first evening just e-scouting where you are and what's going on. And I think you'll have a really good time. So that's the kind of hunt I'm planning at the moment. There'll be a couple of people that come with us, and I think I'm making Jono nervous about the unplanned nature of said trip, but it adds a lot of fun to it as well. So yeah, anyway, that's my approach to it for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I watched, you recommended some videos to watch out of hunting in New Zealand. That's it. It's little islands tend to have changeable weather. They don't have a great big landmass in the centre that kind of keeps everything stable. That's what it is. So you got to be ready for that. And it looks like it can be hard weather too.
Yeah.
So will you be staying in? Are you going to stay in huts? Are you going to stay in tents? What are you thinking?
Totally depends. Again, on the chopper company. If you're going to stay in huts, you've got to pre-book them. You're supposed to book some of those huts.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, but there are a number of forestry huts up there that you don't have to. No, I think my plan will be tent-based hunt because you get dropped into an area. It's pretty big country. And if you want to commit to pretty big country, you almost want to have your tent with you.
Yeah.
Even if it's, you get dropped off by the chopper and pitch your tent somewhere nearby that location. They usually drop you by a tarn, which is a body of water. You've got water on site, which is good. But if you hunt that out and it's not producing, you kind of want to be able to pitch your camp and pick your camp up and take it with you. So I kind of recommend that. But you've got to have good gear. You've got to have a decent quality alpine tent. You can't be going up there with, a Temu version. Cost you $35 and the poles all snap in half. You've got to be a little bit sensible about that stuff. But there is a great hunt network up there. But no, I think the ultralight's the way to go. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think that would be all part of the adventure of it. That sounds like the adventure of it. I suppose as you said, if you're going to have to move, it'd be good to be able to carry all your stuff with you. Though I suppose that's also, I didn't like, for instance, that video I was watched, that guy, what I was quite surprised because he went in by chopper, he had a cargo case.
Oh yeah, big hard case, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, gee, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, why not?
That's right, rather than just put everything in a hard case, and then that way, you pack in a hard case, and then you've got this very, stable, protective storage thing to put everything in. I didn't think about it. I thought, oh yeah, brought in by chopper, and a chopper probably likes it better because it packs so small.
Yeah,
he knows how big it is. There it is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Chopper logistics. The last time I went, I think they said for one ride in the Robbie, you needed, I think, combined weight. I'm going to say, I might get this slightly wrong, it was a combined weight of 150 kilos.
What's that, per man or per
man? Per man.
150 kilos.
No, it was 150, it might have been 130 kilos. It was 130 kilos.
I know.
So at 130 kilos, I was able to take me and my gear and a packet of chips. So I had to buddy up with a more slender version of a human who weighed a lot less than that, so I could lean on his luggage allowance. But yeah, almost combined weight of 260 kilos for 2 men and all their gear is what those little choppers take. So you've got to be pretty ultralight. Now, the video that you watched, old mate was in there on his own, so he had all of the room he needed.
Yeah, plus I would assume that he base camped, because, you'd hardly want to be dragging that cargo box all over the mountains.
I think that cargo box becomes a source of supply that he can lean on.
Yeah, that's it.
He left it behind at the point and moved his camp, and I'd say that he just got the chopper to land and pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so,
okay.
When we got picked up out of the Alps, old mate bought a big squirrel, which is it's a bigger chopper. Picked up 3 of us, all the heads, all the gear from camp, and we bounced to a couple of locations on the way out to pick up some things that were left behind. No, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah. Sounds interesting.
It's
certainly
an adventure, absolutely.
As I said, I've enjoyed watching his stuff. I've enjoyed watching his stuff so much that I've got my GoPro out again.
I've enjoyed watching his stuff so much that I've started editing again.
I've got the GoPro out because hopefully, though, it's not looking as good as it was a couple of days ago. With the weather, I'm hoping to go out on the boat on Saturday. I'm not sure now.
That's right, chasing GTs.
No, we were depending on the weather, either mackerel or dewey.
Right. Yeah,
but that was all weather dependent, and unfortunately, it's sliding a little bit this weather, which is a bummer.
No, such is life. That's what happens.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. So
that's it.
Cool.
And I'm hoping to get up to the block next week before Christmas. And I'm also, because I'm hoping to get up there, I'm going to go early. So I might try for a bit of meat before Christmas. So if I've got to do that, I've got to basically be up there before dawn and try and get something in that first, say, 3 hours of light, or then it just gets too hot. So,
hack off a shoulder for me. I'll be down.
That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try and get up there, pop something early, get it back, get sorted out, job done. Might not work. That's one of the plans. That's my pre-Christmas plan.
Good luck. Good luck.
That's it. Yeah. Anything else from your good self?
No, I think I'm close to tapped out. Lots of stuff going on, as you hear, but there's a wind down on the hunt side and a ramp up on the administration stuff. Keen to get some of these programs underway and merch out and all that sort of stuff we've spoken about. So, and keep an eye out. There'll be some fun videos that drop over the Christmas break as we have a bit of spare time to get on the editing desk again. So, yeah, I hope to share.
And I think we'll probably have a end of year wrap up next week. And keep those questions coming, guys. This is we kind of tonight really has been a whole response to the questions we got. So, and we like doing that. So keep them coming. We'll keep putting them together.
Good stuff. All right, mate.
Okay.
Very good. Have a good evening.
See you later.